Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. Today we are going to be taking a look at not only one, not only two, but three waves of NASCAR Authentics. More importantly, waves 9, 10, and 11 for 2016. It's been a while since we did a NASCAR Authentics review, so I thought we should finally finish off the year. And for some reason Lionel released an odd number of waves. Yeah, Lionel, if you want to do that even next year, that'd be awesome. Well, this year, but, maybe 10, maybe 12, just odd just doesn't really work for my reviews. But anyways, typical stuff, really nothing too important to talk about. The packaging, same stuff, still had the waves, same old stuff, cars in the back. If you're really into packaging at this point, you should know what they look like. Like, nothing changes anymore. Well, they did change for next year, but we'll get to that when we review the 2017 waves. Why don't we just hop right into the cars themselves, since this will be a long one. Here we have Kasey Kahne's Aquafina car. Now you're probably saying, wait, didn't this get reviewed a while ago? Didn't this get released a while ago? Yeah, it did. For some reason they were like, oh, it just sold so well that we needed to re-release it again. So, yeah. We already reviewed this, not going to even review this, but they released it again, so might as well mention it. But why don't we get into the real cars for Wave 9? Then we have Kyle Busch's M&M's Red Nose Day Kansas Race to Win diecast for Joe Gibbs Racing. We actually reviewed the 124 of this car, or I reviewed the 124, not I said we, but a while ago, so if you really want a detailed review of this car, you can look for that 124 scale review. But it was nice to get a 164 scale. This is sort of an exclusive. The only way to get a 164 scale of this car is this Authentics line. This was not like released as regular Gold Series. I mean, a couple of the race ones in these few waves are, but this one was one that was not. And it's very nice, because like I said, this is the only way to get the Red Nose Day car. And they did a pretty good job of recreating the damage with decals, so I can't complain at all. I don't know why Walgreens and Red Nose Day is so weird about releasing this car. Because, like, they never want to make one. Like, even this year, even though they made this one last year with the race one, they didn't make this year's. Didn't offer it nothing. I don't know why they're so weird about the licensing of this. You would think that with, like, a charity organization that, oh, I don't know, maybe you'd want to get more exposure and maybe want to get some, like, funds or, stuff from the diecast sale. I don't know, but whatever. Very, very good choice, and this one definitely sold quite well. Next up, we have Joey Logano's Shell Pennzoil Ford Fusion for Team Penske. I mean, I like this car, and I'm glad we're getting it in the Authentics line, but man, did they take way too long to release this. Look at what's out. This is in the rear, like, Race to Wins, Darlington throwbacks, special paint schemes, and you're still giving us a standard? This should have been wave, like, 5 or 6, not 9. But whatever. Like I said, this is always a fan favorite paint scheme for most people. I mean, most people like it, then there's the, Logano haters that just act like it's the worst paint scheme ever, and Lionel and Penske should be ashamed for ever copying a paint scheme over, but yet those are probably the same people that love the black number 3 for Dale Earnhardt that, stayed the same for a good, like, 10, 12 years. So, yeah. Anyways, it's very nice to see it in Authentics line, and very nice to see this thing sitting on store shelves, and I'm sure a lot of people picked it up, because it is just a beautiful, iconic paint scheme. I'm sure some people just got triggered for me saying iconic, but it is. This is going to be one of those paint schemes 20 years, 30 years from now. People are going to look back and be like, oh, I remember that car. That was an awesome car. This will probably be a car that Darlington throwbacks hit sooner or later. Or, well, if Logano ever runs this and doesn't run a Darlington throwback, I'm just going to call it a throwback to Kurt Busch in 2011, but whatever. Very, very, very nice. Next up, we've got another Darlington throwback. We have David Reagan's Dr. Pepper Darlington throwback, the I'm a Pepper car. Basically another throwback. Just kind of, oh look, it looks like old Dr. Pepper, yay. This one, there was a copy too. They actually ran this a few times in 2015, just at random tracks. And then they didn't run a throwback in 2015, and then 2016 came back with this. I mean, the 23 car did run a throwback, but Dr. Pepper didn't. So, I mean, I'm partially happy to get a diecast of this, because I like getting the random small team cars, and this was kind of cool to see the retro logos, but it's not like Dr. Pepper doesn't have paint schemes to choose from, so I would have rather seen something else, but whatever. Just have, like, all the different Dr. Pepper logos from throughout the years on the hood there. That's a nice touch. It's kind of funny to think that we have, in these waves, 2 different David Reagan 23 BK racing cars. That's awesome. We need more small team cars. I would much rather get stuff like this than like another Dale Jr. car, which there's basically one in every wave of this one way or another. Well, sort of not that one in the back, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Next up we have Chase Elliott's Sun Energy Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Probably my favorite Chase Elliott paint scheme, or cup paint scheme so far. which is basically just a copy of the paint scheme from Joe Gibbs Racing, so that's probably why it looks good, because they didn't actually design it themselves. I'm sorry, but Hendrick, they need new designers. Their cars are just so weird. Junior's is the closest thing to cars they've actually liked. Most of their cars are just like really generic, strange-looking designs. They have like one good guy, like his name's like Brandon or something, that there's one designer there that knows what he's doing, and then everyone else just seems to be like crazy different colored A-posts, generic solid designs, yay. But this is definitely very, very nice. Now, obviously, the real car had chrome wheels, or like copper chrome wheels. It's not on this one, obviously. It was never going to be on this one, but it's also not on the 124. Because apparently, copper chrome is too much for Lionel to figure out. I was almost going to buy the 124 this at one point, then I saw it didn't have the rims, and I'm like, yeah, let's not. And I didn't. So, this is the closest you're going to get to review this, unless I can somehow get somebody to get me some copper rims. But, you know, definitely a nice paint scheme, and definitely my favorite Chase Elliott paint scheme. Next up, we have another race win. We have Martin Truex Jr.'s Coca-Cola 600 race win. Another one only produced like this in 1/64 scale. Chip on the front there. This was also a sort of only way to get this paint scheme either scale, just because this did change a little bit. If you remember the other one, the black just kind of went sideways and was like down here. So they added a lot more black, pretty much starting at this race, and they kept it throughout the entire season. So if you really want this version of the Bass Pro Shop paint scheme, this is your only option. This doesn't really have much confetti on it or anything. I mean, there's a little bit right there, so you can basically get that regular look of the car. This one didn't have any real damage or anything. This was kind of a really, really boring race. I almost bought the 124 this once, but I just never got around to it. But it does have the soldier's name on the windshield banner. It's a nice touch. But, you know, Martin Truex Jr.'s quickly gone from, like, I want to see him do well to stop. Like, he's gotten to the point where he's, like, somehow he's Jesus speed every race, and yet everyone's, like, still like, oh, that poor small team fighting the power. It's Joe Gibbs Racing car number 5 now. It's not a small team anymore. I don't know why people keep saying that, but whatever. Next up, we have another Darlington throwback. We have Matt Benedetto's Orange Crush Soda throwback, another one for BK Racing. Once again, I did review the 124 of this one because I did buy this one because this is just an awesome looking car. Once again, basically a faux back, but this is the best faux back I've ever seen. This is the first one I've ever really just like, oh, I want that immediately, and I did buy it. Just looks awesome. The bright orange and blue of Orange Crush Soda with the retro logos, the blue rims, just fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful paint scheme. And once again, like I said before, very, very nice to get some small team cars in this line. See another little bit chip there. Oh, Lionel. Which is funny because these kind of chips is that they come out of the package like this, but then like most people see that and be like, oh, you were too rough with it, you dropped it. It's like, no, Lionel just comes like that. I mean, yes, if you drop a car, it's gonna chip, but whatever. Also, I do like the touch of the Matt Benedetto name rail being down there instead of on the name rail. That's kind of old school. But like I said, definitely a cool throwback. I wonder what BK Racing is gonna do this year. Hopefully they don't just try to copy and paste these paint schemes, because that would be something they would do. If they even last that long. There's always rumors that BK Racing is going to fold sooner or later. And last but not least, Wave 9, we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Nationwide Insurance NASCAR Salutes paint scheme. Pretty solid patriotic paint scheme. Got the blue that has like the interesting like jagged flag look with the stripes on the back. Does have the Support Our Troops tires. I don't know why I said Seaport. Support Our Troops tires. NASCAR Salutes logo. Again, has the soldier's name on the windshield banner. It's funny how in 15, the first year they did it, it's like, Lionel was like, oh, we can't do that, no rights for all the soldiers' names, blah, 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 and then, like, suddenly the next year they're just doing it, so keep that up. Hopefully this year it's the same thing, because I want more cars with the soldiers' names on them. That is a very cool thing they do that weekend, and I hope to get more diecast of it. Does have the beautiful metallic blue paint. Like I said, this one's not bad. Junior's the closest thing to having some decent paint schemes, but in general, like, there are very few paint schemes I like for anyone else. Johnson's standard wasn't bad either, but in general, Hendrick just really needs to change something. Especially their primaries. Their primaries are just so generic. But not always terrible. Like I said, I really hate Casey Kane's Farmer's Insurance car and the Great Eclipse car, but whatever. Not a bad choice. So that's Wave 9. Pretty solid wave. Next up, we have probably one of the best waves of the year as far as I'm concerned. We have Wave 10, and starting off with a beautiful throwback, Jamie McMurray's Mac Tonight car. A throwback to Bill Elliott's Mac Tonight car in the late 90s. Just one of my favorite paint schemes of all time, and I was so happy to see it back. I pre-ordered it immediately in 124, 164 scale, and then they canceled it. This was like one of the best throwbacks. A ton of people seemed to love it and was like, oh, that's my favorite throwback. And it doesn't even meet MOQ? The shit, people. Come the hell on. I'm glad we got it one way, shape, or form, but I'm literally like, I almost want to get a custom of this in 124 scale. I just love this car. I have the original. I was really ready to get this car. I cannot believe they would cancel this. Like, this was not worth your time to, like, you know, make, just kind of gamble on it, Lionel? You didn't think this would sell? Oh, whatever. And I'm also glad we got it in NASCAR Authentics line, because, you know, a lot of people probably bought this car from Bill Elliott back in the day, the Winter Circle Racing Champions days. Or even McDonald's used to give promos out, like, in Happy Meals of this car, or Bill Elliott's car, so. Whatever. A beautiful, beautiful throwback. An excellent choice by Ganassi Racing. Did they even do... I don't think... Did McMurray even have a throwback in 2015? I don't think he did. So, they kind of did really step up their game. Hopefully we get another cool McDonald's throwback this year. Maybe like the McFlurry car or the Big Mac car, or I don't know. Any of those would be fun. But this is just beautiful to see back and an excellent choice. Next up we have another awesome throwback. We have Matt Kenseth's Tide throwback. A throwback to the classic Tide car. I was going to say Tide Pods, but technically this doesn't say Tide Pods. This is another one that we did review the 124 scale of, so you can check that out if you want an intricate review of it. If you missed that, point taken. There was a Tide Pod right there, Tide Pod right there, said Tide Pods, but they can't put that in a kid's toy because little itty kids eat it. And apparently just because some idiotic kids need to eat these things and think they're candy, we now need to get our diecast ruined. Though this year they actually are producing it on a base and says Tide Pods, so whatever. This one still looks fantastic enough without it. This one is basically an exclusive, because if you want a good one, buy this. I think I pointed that out in the review of the 124, but they released the 164 of this, and on like the shitty mold, and it was just the color was wrong, it looked terrible. So if you want a good EL mold, good color, correct everything, get this Authentics version. Completely just ignore that other one. I think the 124 of this is still getting rarer and rarer as time goes by, as I said in that review when I did that review. But excellent choice and a beautiful throwback. Next up, we have another awesome throwback. We have Joey Logano's Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske, a throwback to the Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart 44 car. Once again, another one we reviewed the 124 scale of. I love me some Darlington throwbacks. So again, once again, if you want an intricate review, go check that video out. Once again, an awesome choice to see in the NASCAR Authentics line, because this is another one that a lot of people had as kids back in the day, had the Tony Stewart car. So, very, very nice. It's funny that this wave basically has like 3 of my 5 favorite throwbacks from this year. So, like I said, I really do love this wave. It's basically Darlington throwbacks, plus had to throw in those Cash Cow Mountain Dew cars, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Just a fantastic choice and a fantastic car. So now let's get to part 1 of the Cash Cow Mountain Dew cars. Can't have a full wave of Darlington throwbacks in regular retail stores. They have to be either Walmart exclusive or have to throw something else in there. Here we have Chase Elliott's Mountain Dew car from the Dover Chase race. See, it does have the Chase windshield splitter. And, oh, whoops. Quality work, Lionel. They can't even get the right spoiler. If everyone's saying, like, what the hell are you talking about? Then, yeah, it's the Chase. So, if you know, the Chase has the splitter, windshield banner, and spoiler. How do you fuck that up, Lionel? No one at the factory, did a prototype come out of this? Did no one at the prototype stage be like, whoops, that's wrong? That's hilarious. But anyway, this paint scheme really isn't worth anything anyways. It's a really stupid looking car. Has a black side skirt, which you know how much I hate whenever they throw a black side skirt on a colored car. Has just a weird like design in the middle of the door. It's got matte dark silver numbers. A bright white Little Caesars decollage, or not decollage, TV panel. Just not a good paint scheme, and I don't like this at all. This is exactly what I mean when Hendrick just kind of is not good at their designers. And then you have stupid A-post gradient /split / stop that, Hendrick. Even more teams doing it now. It's got to be some advantage. Like, oh, you split the wrap right there. That you know, see, it's actually split there, so you know you can't complain, and it gives us an aero advantage, or I don't know. But yeah, I do not like this paint scheme at all. This is pretty ugly. They did actually run a full-on Little Caesars car in this year, so that was kind of funny. Even when we were talking about this car last year, we were like, oh, that'd be awesome if they ran a full Little Caesars car, and then boom, there he runs one. So that's awesome. Hopefully they give us that in the Authentics line. That one was a much better paint scheme. Still nothing great, but better. Next up, we can get right back to the good Darlington throwbacks, and we have Jeffrey Earnhardt's Otter Pops throwback to the Dale Earnhardt Wrangler car. What a weird car. This car started off being like Keen Corvette parts car, and then they just randomly one day were like, it's changing, and now it has Otter Pops. Which is kind of hilarious that it literally looks like one of those cheap ARCA cars when they like buy a car from another team, copy the paint, just didn't want to change the paint scheme, so they just put their new sponsors on it. And, you know, since it's ARCA, it's usually some shitty sponsors. Does have the nice, beautiful silver rims. And, you know, it is cool to see this paint scheme back with an Earnhardt, but I would rather set a Keen parts on the front because it kind of fit with the paint scheme more, but some people like the randomness and craziness of Otter Pops on the hood, so. And this is a small team car, so that's awesome to get in the Authentics line once again. Go Fast Racing. A team that Matty Benedetto actually races for this year, but last year was Jeffrey Earnhardt. I wonder if Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to run another Dale Earnhardt paint scheme this year. Very, very nice. Next up, we continue with the Darlington throwback theme. We've got Jimmy Johnson's Lowe's Darlington throwback. A throwback to the David Pearson Lowe's car from the 1980, or was it 1979? Now you probably think, isn't that a Dale Earnhardt car? Yes, it was too. Dale Earnhardt raced the car, but he got injured, and David Pearson ran in a few races where it had the Lowe's sponsorship. So as far as Lowe's go, it's a throwback to David Pearson, not Dale Earnhardt. I almost bought the 124 scale of this just because it's kind of a cool car. The bright yellow and blue looks nice. The Lowe's, the bright white wheels, looks very, very nice. But I just never got around to it, so. Very, very nice paint scheme, and again, it's very nice to see this in the Authentics line, so, you know, everyone can just pick it up at their leisure. I don't know why they didn't put Lowe's on the deck lid, but I guess the original car probably didn't have Lowe's on the deck lid, so that was probably their excuse. So, a very nice choice. And finish off the wave with another Cash Cow Mountain Dew car. So, we got Dale Jr.'s All-Star paint scheme, which is probably the best looking Mountain Dew car from last year as far as I'm concerned. It's got the beautiful metallic green, the solid white, kind of a patriotic look to it. Mountain Dew's one of those sponsors that either has like awesome, badass looking paint schemes or really ugly messes of paint schemes. This was not bad. This was kind of in the middle, but I do kind of like this. Does have the Support Our Troops tires. They did a fantastic job on the green. So, again, it's like I said, we have to get a Dale Jr. car or Dale Jr. related car in every wave, so. Which is probably just going to get the banner is going to go over to Chase Elliott soon enough. But that is wave 10. A very, very solid wave. I would call it the best wave of the year, but if it just had the throwbacks or they changed out maybe Chase Elliott's car, but whatever. And next up, we have the final wave of the year, what they were calling the bonus wave. And speaking of the real bonus wave, no, we are never reviewing that. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, good. Anyways, here we have Tony Stewart's Code 3 Associates Sonoma race win. His final race win. You know, speaking of Authentics, I'm surprised we never got Jeff Gordon's final race win in the Authentics line. His Martinsville win. Once again, you know, 164 scale race wins are never that great because, you know, it is entirely just kind of decals, and they're small decals, so they end up looking a little more smudgy, but it's definitely cool to get his final win in the Authentics line at retail stores. So, not a bad choice. I have never liked this Code 3 Associates car. Just a weird colors and paint scheme, but whatever. I reviewed the 124 scale of this too, so if you want a full review, you can get that too. Whoop, Cowboys train, and everything's falling over. I wish they would put this packaging so this like thing was actually at the bottom, because what's the point of this if it's just going to fall over? But whatever. Next up, we have a Kyle Busch car anyways. We have Kyle Busch's Snickers Crisper car. A car ran at Watkins Glen last year, of all places. So I got to see this car in person because I was at the Watkins Glen race. I do love the colors of this. The bright blue and brown looks amazing. But at the same time, I'm really not a fan of Snickers. Just like, we're going to throw giant logos everywhere for no reason. It says crispy satisfaction on the side skirt. But doesn't only says it on that part of the side skirt. I guess that's where the exhaust was, so that's why it doesn't say it. But that's just kind of funny. So I love the colors, but if Snickers could get off their giant logo thing, that would be awesome. I might buy the 124 of it this year. This got canceled in 124 scale last year. It was only made in 164 scale, so this is your only choice if you want it last year on the last year's body. But very, very nice choice for the Authentics line. Here we have another sort of DNP car. We've got David Reagan's Shriners Children's Hospital car from the July Daytona race. This was DNP'd in 164 scale. It was produced in 124 scale, if I remember correctly. Has a very nice sparkly look to it, if that's coming across. But it's got like actual like red and blue and such sparkles. Like, if I can focus on that. This was kind of, you know, I think a little kid or little, like, sick kid designed this, so it was cool to get a diecast of it. Again, as a small team car, it's a great cause, all that stuff, just amazing. Shriners Hospital for Children. So definitely cool to see this. Yeah, there it is, created by Hatley? I don't know. So yes, this was a car designed by a kid. And it actually looks decent for a change. You know, most times when it's like a child design paint scheme, it's always like a bunch of random colors and flowers and stars and, you know, whatever, you can't complain. It's different, so that's a plus. But this version just gave a nice, clean, simple design. Fantastic. And now we have the strangest choice. We have the 24 ever car that they made for some fucking reason. This just showed how gullible Chase Elliott and Jeff Gordon fans are. We're going to make this random paint scheme out of nowhere just to be like, oh, look, it's passing the torch by diecast. See, it's basically the Jeff Gordon's Rainbow car into Jeff Gordon's Final Ride car into Chase Elliott's Napa car. But yet, they didn't get DuPont or Exalt or anything on the hood, so strike off one. Two, they, because of its Chase Elliott, they had the 24, or the 21 means 21 Coors Light logo, even though it's on the part of the car that would be Jeff Gordon's car. So that sucks too. If it has Gordon's name, it shouldn't be a Chase banner because it ran in the Chase. I don't like this car at all. This car kind of laid around on pegs for a long time too, so I don't think anyone really liked it, but whatever. Fantasy is never my thing, and fantasy should never be my thing. So, whatever. Let's get on to the next car. Kyle Larson's Michigan win with the Target colors and the terribly wrong gradient. How do people think this looks right? Like, there's some people out there be like, oh, you're just nitpicking. The car looks fine. I don't. If you really think that, then whatever. Just believe your little eyes there, buddy. Because this car does not look good at all, and looks like they're going to still continue to fuck it up this year. The 2017 standard, it's actually perfectly right to last year's car, but then they changed it this year, so it's still going to be wrong. Oh, Target, why must you be so hard for Lionel to get right? But again, this was a first race win diecast, or a first win, so it's very nice to get in a 164 and in a retail line. For some reason, no confetti on the windshields. I guess that's too much money. But not a bad choice at all. Next up, we have Martin Truex Jr.'s Auto Owners Insurance, Toyota. Ran at the Brickyard and I think a couple other races last year. Surprised you didn't get his sort of Darlington throwback in this line. It's not really a throwback, but I'm surprised you didn't get it. This is kind of a cool paint scheme. The blue kind of fades into lighter blue and then eventually into white. And very colorful gradient. He actually did win in this car in 2017. He won with it at Kansas. So, might be getting a race of it one way or another. He won with the Auto Owners colors at Darlington in that sort of not throwback. A very nice throwback. Or not throwback, a very nice paint scheme. Said, always cool to get Truex cars, because a lot of his paint schemes are kind of cool. And to finish off the wave, we have another mold exclusive in the sort of Dale Jr. car of the wave. We have Chase Elliott Jr. Motorsports Tax Slayer Daytona win. Which again, it was a sort of an exclusive because this was only produced in 124 scale. So if you want a 164 scale, you have to get this one. So he does have the tampoed damage. I always hate that yellow splitter. Like, again, I think I've said that before, but why does Hendrick feel the need to do that? It looks very stupid. But whatever. And this has the black side skirt on the colored car, which is one of my biggest pet peeves of paint schemes. Whatever. Has nice sparkly gold on the number and the design, so that's cool. That, well, this is the wrong Logano car, but that was from Logano. Logano tried to pass him, and Chase was like, nope. I'm going to shove you into the wall because I'm a prick. It's funny how when certain drivers do that, it's fine. When other drivers do that, it's not. Ever notice that? Like, with Dale Jr. or Chase Elliott shoves some driver in the wall and tries to pass him, it's like, hell yeah, block him, yeah, hell yeah, you're gonna win. And then, like, if Kyle Busch, Logano, or somebody did, they'd be like, oh, you dirty little prick, you should be penalized, I hate you. I guess that's just NASCAR fans in general, but whatever. So, definitely a very solid way to end off the year. A bunch of fantastic choices, very few wrong choices in these waves. Both of them relating to Chase Elliott. But nevertheless, just a fantastic way to end the wave, and it's, you know, might as well take a look at them. So, now we can look forward to 2017 videos. I only have up to Wave 3 so far. We'll have the next year, so I'll probably do a review of Wave 1 and 2. Wave 4 is just starting to sprinkle out there by the time I'm recording this video, so hopefully I can get that. Wave 3 is the worst wave I think of Authentic so far, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But But anyways, I think that's pretty much all I should say. This has been a review of Wave 9, 10, and 11 of NASCAR Authentics. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.